Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this, I guess, afternoon time now for another album review by Judas Priest, and it was something I was waiting to do. It's just I was doing some things for a little bit. I was trying to get around to this review like 20, 30 minutes ago, but I didn't have the time. But now that we're at it, it's for their next album, Redeemer of Souls, their 17th album in their discography. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for this 83-minute album, or almost 84-minute record. And sorry about you hearing the thunder. It's supposed to be raining today a lot. But other than that, let's dive into this album review by Judas Priest, Redeemer of Souls. Starts with Dragonaut, which is a strong track. I really like this one. Rob Halford sounds good vocally in this, and just execution-wise, this track worked for the drumming and guitar riffs, and the guitar solos were pretty epic in this track, so I really enjoyed this song. This is a 5 out of 5. Good opening track. Redeemer of Souls, the title track, is pretty good in its own way. I mean, I had a few critiques with how it was sung by Rob Halford, but it wasn't terrible. I just think overall, from what I listened to, it's a pretty good song. It plays it safe for how it's sounding overall, with the guitar solo and the drum work being fairly decent. So 4.75 out of 5. Halls of Valhalla was a 6-minute track, and it was a strong 6 minute and 5 second song from what I listened to. Definitely enjoyed Rob Halford's screech singing vocals, like his singing vocals sounding really high. I really enjoyed that, and overall execution wise, this track worked for what it went for the runtime it was going for. So another 5 out of 5 for sure. Sword of Damocles is a pretty good song. It plays it safe. I mean, there's a few critiques I have with this one, but nothing to the extent where I thought it was terrible. I just think Rob Halford's singing had some solid moments, but not anything memorable. I mean, it was a little underwhelming with some of the singing, but nothing terrible that I hated. So it's a 4.75 out of 5. March of the Damned is another pretty good song. It plays it safe too. I'd give this a 4.75 out of 5 for how it sounds structurally and overall execution wise. I think it did pretty well for how it sounded. So this is a 4.75 out of 5 for March of the Damned. Down in Flames is a pretty good song. Well, it's a good song for how it sounds. I just think with this one, there were some critiques I had with this one, with how Rob Halford was singing this, and just overall melody structure wise, it did alright, but wasn't anything that was my favorite. So it's a 4.5 out of 5. Hell and Back is another one that plays it safe, but in a good way. And I think Rob Halford's singing had its hit or miss moments, but execution wise, with the drumming and guitar work, it played it safe. So it's not the best song, not the worst song, but it's alright. 4.5 out of 5. Cold Blooded, another good song too. I'm finding quite a bit of songs that kind of have a little bit of lackluster moments, but nothing terrible. Just a few critiques. For some of this record, I think the first half is kind of mediocre at best. But the second half is where it starts to dwindle down. But I'll tell you why it dwindles down in just a second. But other than that, Cold Blood is a 4.5 out of 5. Rob Halford's singing's alright. Execution wise, I think this track did good with some of the drumming, but it just took its time, and it did feel a little slow of a track with the instrumentation. Felt like it was dragging on a little, but not to the extent where it was terrible. Metalizer is a pretty good song. I really enjoyed Rob Halford's singing in this one, and overall, this track did pretty good, but there were a few critiques I had with how the melody is sounding structure-wise. So it's a 4.75 out of 5. Then we get to the next track, Crossfire, which is a above decent track that I'm just not sure if I feel for too much. I just think with this track, this one was a little weaker um, of a song. It tended to get a little dull from time to time, but not terrible. Just it's like one of those tracks you can find to be mediocre at best. So 4.25 out of 5. It's above decent. It's almost a good song, but it just was one of the weak, least favorites in my opinion. Secrets of the Dead is another above decent song. It At least it's not terrible, but it's just kind of eh. So I think Rob Halford's singing kind of gets a little underwhelming at times with this one, but execution-wise, the drumming and guitar work is fairly solid. So 4.25 out of 5. Battle Cry is a strong track from what I listened to. I really did enjoy this one. I think Rob Halford's singing was a lot better in this one. So this is a 5 out of 5 for sure. Another personal favorite track. It's the second to last song on the regular edition, but it's still a strong track for how it is. 5 out of 5. Beginning of the End did have some good moments in it, but I felt there were a few critiques with this one, with how it's sounding overall. But I think Rob Halford sung it pretty solidly, but it just felt a little slow and drags a little, but not in a terrible way, in a solid way. So 4.5 out of 5. Snakebite is a good song, nothing terrible, and it's one of the songs for the deluxe edition of this record. And the deluxe edition has 5 extra songs, but from what I listened to, Snakebite's a good song. 4.5 out of 5. Rob Halford's singing is fairly average, and just the overall execution of the track played it safe. Tears of Blood is a good song for how it sounds. I didn't hate this one for how it was sounding structure wise. I just had a little bit of critiques with this one, with how it's sounding. I think Rob Halford's singing did fairly average too as well. So it's another 4.5 out of 5. Creatures did have some good moments in it, but I think with the execution, there were some weak tendencies in the song with how the song's playing out at certain moments in the track. There's some good strong moments in like the chorus, but when the verses come in, it just gets lazy at times, but it plays it okay. So it's a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a good song. I just don't see myself really enjoying it too much, but I do enjoy it to an extent. Bring It On is decent. I'm just not really feeling for this one too much. It's probably the weakest song on the record. As a deluxe edition track, it's kind of weak. So it's a 4 out of 5 for this one. I don't know. I tried liking it, but I found myself feeling a little just thinking it's a little forgettable. So 4 out of 5. It's decent, but it could have been a little better. And then Never Forget is the closing track on the record, which has a nice message behind it, with thanking their fans and all that, and they'll never forget this moment and all that. So it's a song for the fans, and that's what I enjoyed about this track, that it was dedicated to the fans, the last song on the record. And it's a good track for how it sounds. It's not one of the best, but it's a good song. So for 6 minutes and almost 30 seconds, it's good. 4.5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Judas Priest Redeemer of Souls album is a decent record. Nothing I'm going to really come back to too much, but I think it's fairly decent for how it sounds. The first half was pretty strong. Then, when you get to the second half, that's where the songs get predictable and a little lazy at times with the structure and how the melodies are sounding. But overall, I think it's fairly decent for a record. Rob Halford's singing at times was pretty strong, and then there were some weak moments. But I think this was kind of a step up from Nostradamus in its own way, but it wasn't as great as like Angel of Retribution, but it was still a decent record in its own way. So it had some good highlights and some weak moments in the track in this record. But to be fair, if I'm gonna give it a score, I'm pretty much feeling a 7 out of 10 for this record. It's fairly decent. I don't hate this record. I just found a few problems with this record, with how the songs are sounding some of the time, and just how it's executing this record with its 18 tracks on this record. There's quite a bit of tracks on this record, which make it almost a 90-minute listen. But overall, it's decent for how it sounds. So 7 out of 10 for Judas Priest, Redeemer of Souls. I will be returning to you for Firepower tomorrow, or probably going to have it for a midnight release or something. I don't know. But until then, you guys have a good rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and thank you guys for watching this Judas Priest, Redeemer of Souls album review today.